Hey there, you me and DC fans, and welcome if you are new. I am the stepson of Krypton,
Matt Mantis.
and today we're going to bring you what we hope is a relatively short video just to talk about Superman. James Gunn has said is officially done. It is wrapped. Everything is done at this point in time. No reshoots. Now, we did a previous video on that. We're not going to go into that too much. But we wanted to talk about what is happening after after principal photography is done. So, Mantis, are you ready to get into the discussion?
Let's go.
What if I'm not ready? You ever thought about that?
Okay,
Do
we
you
can
ever
wait.
think about anybody but yourself?
Well, you asked me, okay?
But you never ask me. That's fine. All right, we're going.
Are you ready?
All right, guys. So Superman has completely wrapped filming. No new reshoots scheduled thus far that we know of, which means James Gunn is going to have 12 months of post production and VFX, which is kind of crazy. Like, I thought for the longest time that movies spent at least that. And James Gunn, when he said that this is going to be, not only was it the longest for principal photography project he ever shot at 5 months, that 12 months for the post production VFX is the longest for any movie he's ever done as well. Um, and what it looks to be is usually when you're dealing with movies that are very heavy with special effects and CGI and such, 6 to 12 months is about the average,
Hmm.
leaning closer towards the 6. Now, I think, like, Endgame and Infinity War probably were a little closer to that 12-month marker, but 12 months is pretty lengthy for VFX, which was kind of shocking for me. But then when you watch the credits that MCU makes us stay through, um, you see how many people are in the VFX department. So
Yeah, I was gonna say it's funny because even in my job we were talking about AI and how that's gonna start creeping into entertainment. Um, and it's a case where because I think I saw this somewhere about or a quote that James Gunn had said about his films always taking a different approach, given the virtual effects people that he employs time to do their job properly, right? So he realizes that's an actual part of the movie that needs to be. It's just as important as filming, right? Like he believes that part is just as important. But like, what do we get into this point? Because it's going to come a time where AI is going to start being used for that. Hopefully, because the thing is too, like these blockbusters and are wanting, especially with the DCU getting revamped and kind of start all these coming out, and MCU is getting into their latest phase here with the Secret Wars and stuff, and the new Avengers movies. As we saw with like the Flash, uh, these VFX departments getting kind of stretched really thin, and maybe they don't have the talent they used to, or they're just having to lay people off. And instead of taking a team with 10, it's going to be 5 instead. Like, are they just going to say, screw this? We're going to use AI instead of it taking that long. We're gonna it'll be save money, but is it going to be the same quality? And are directors like James Gunn going to be okay with that? I think not. At least he doesn't sound like he's going to be okay with that.
well, one of the things that James Gunn had said in there is that having the 12 months, it takes the pressure off of his VFX guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll tell you this now, just kind of a little side note. So, as long as Thor's okay with it, so like, I do the editing for our channel. I use DaVinci Resolve. It's a great program, right? I'm still in a beginner level. I'm actually going through like a 5 day Resolve con for any nerds that are using DaVinci Resolve like me is going on, where I'm trying to learn more things, right? And in there, you find out that, like, if you're doing some VFX, it could take you an hour plus. It could take you several hours to get maybe 5 or 6 seconds of footage done, right? It's absolutely insane. And this is to the quality of like what some of us YouTubers would put out. Now, there are YouTubers who put out, I would say, damn near movie level quality stuff, right? They got backing, they got finances, they also have a team. But it is very time consuming to get it right, so you don't have these weird looking babies like you had in the Flash, right? That all the VFX in the Flash was just terrible. I'm
uh,
sorry, like
it's
most of
bad.
it was
Yeah.
just god awful. So it kind of comes down to like, was that because they didn't have a big VFX budget? Was that because they were time constraints? Was that because, yeah, maybe they just didn't have enough people working on their project? Versus where James Gunn is saying, hey, I don't want to put too much strain on my VFX guys, right? Because you don't work well while pressured, right? And when you're doing VFX, depending on how it was filmed, and there's been some argument in the comments about it, but movies are filmed well above even 60 frames, right? They film it in super high frames, so if they need to capture things, they need to do the VFX, they all that stuff, and then it's scaled down when they go to actually do the editing for it. So even at 60 frames, for 1 second, you're 60 different images that you're having to go and adjust, especially if there's quick movement. It takes a long fucking time to do that. And to be honest, for me, our channel, we don't really focus on VFX. I want to start doing some projects that do, but I honestly just kind of get, I don't want to say bored, but it becomes so tedious doing that in every other frame. Whereas, like Manta said, AI could do it for you in probably 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Maybe it'll be a few minutes, but AI is not going to get bored or think it's tedious. Or when you've been doing one little thing, you're like, oh, I'm on 3 hours of working on this 6 seconds of footage. You start sometimes you start cutting corners, right? Because you're like, oh fuck it, it looks good enough. Where AI won't do that. AI is going to say, here's your completed beautiful artwork. Well, I've been over here
Yeah.
busting my ass.
I mean,
Sons of bitches.
obviously, we're a ways away from AI. Maybe not as far as we think. I will say, like, even within like the last couple of years or last year, where AI was when it started showing up in like Twitter posts and YouTube videos and stuff. Uh, it's kind of scary to see where it may exponentially grow within the next 3 to 4 years, and we may all be out of jobs. At least I might be in the tech field. Like, I may not have a job, who knows. But I think there will be those that leverage AI, maybe more. Some studios or directors may leverage it more than others, but in my opinion, this is kind of the same thing with virtual effects as we talked about, CGI versus practical. You will never convince me, at least at this point, from anything that I've saw or seen, that CGI is going to trump practical effects. I just think they look cooler. They look more realistic. In a lot of cases, they look cooler too. I mean, I don't know. I just
So we did a video. We keep bringing this up here in these last few. We did a video back last December about practical effects versus CGI and the difference. About 40-minute video. I've yet to release it because I didn't know when there would be a time to release it. I wasn't sure how what was going on. It's kind of back there just in case, like, one of us was in a car accident, we couldn't film. We got some kind of backlog, but I've been wanting to release it more and more because of the fact that, you know lately it seems like we're having, and this is kind of where maybe Mansis had mentioned in a previous video, maybe it's because we have to pay these actors so much. Um, Big name actors, right? It's like when you have these big blockbuster movies, the budgets are going up and up, right? We're seeing 300 million is becoming a closer norm, versus
wow.
the 170 million. And we had talked about it with Captain America: Brave and the Bold. That's granted, that's due to reshoots, but that's gonna peak close to $400 million, right? So I expect
Wow.
pristine fucking CGI, and we've seen in several, both DC. Flash is a perfect example. We're like, dude, this
Mm.
was a 200 something $1 million movie, and your CGI looks like something I did. you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, but that's the way they wanted it to look. That's what they
Bullshit.
said.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not buying that
Yeah.
for a second, right?
No.
Something, dude, like somebody embezzled a bunch of money from that project, and you're just
Yes.
like, dude, I got a few $1,000s that I could pay some YouTube VFX people
Yeah.
to go do and make it real quick, and this is all the time they had because
I feel
No,
like yeah, the director of the studio is like, you know what we'll do? Well, I saw this guy. He called me. He said he was Steve. He had an Indian accent, but he was like, hey, we'll do all of your VFX work for like $2 million, and then you'll get double your return because I'm an African king too. And if you just send me that money, we'll get you your CGI done. It'll look real good. And then they just kind of sent the money, and then no one heard from them again, and they were just kind of left with, well, we're gonna have to figure something out. And then that's what we got. It was just, yeah, it makes no sense that how that got released and looked like that, other than the fact that it was like they're on a time crunch. They were getting rid of all the actors and starting brand new. Obviously, this is way James Gunn had nothing to do with that, but
yeah, but they
it's
knew they
just
were dropping that universe anyways, right? We because the
yeah,
Flash almost didn't release, right? They talked about it because
right,
they
yeah,
scrapped several projects, but it was already cost so much money that they're like,
yes.
we're just going to go ahead and release it. So I feel like that's where the VFX, they're like, we're not going to dump a shit ton of money into it, which is what makes me feel so good about Superman. Kind of bringing it back to the central theme here, that he took longer than we think about like other projects that usually run 2 to 3 months principal photography. He's done 5. He's got other projects are taking 6 to 8 months to do their VFX and post. He's got a year, right? He's taken his time, which makes me believe that we should get a decent finished project. Now, if all of this goes on and that movie ends up looking like the Flash movie and he's rebooting the universe, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. Right. So Mantis is the CG guy of the channel here. He loves pointing out bad CG. And I say love it. He's not watching it to look for bad CG, but he will call it out when he sees it.
Well, like I always say, if it's good, you never talk about it. You
Because you don't
notice
notice it,
CG when
right?
it's
If
yeah,
it's
you
good, it just
notice
looks
bad
like it was
CG.
real.
Yeah, you tend to notice when it looks like shit, and you point it out. So that's just yeah, that's what's happening. But
So now again, a lot of the scenes they filmed like in when we did the where they were filming in Cleveland and stuff, you didn't see green screens. There is going to be, obviously you have to remove wires and shit and post. You have to do that kind of stuff. But so several of the locations they were filming in, they weren't dropped on green screens. Yeah, you have to. Well, in that case, they blue screened out. Um, there was a couple people in the comments on the pictures when they initially released were like, why is the guy there in blue and this? I'm like, well, the scene is grass, right? You're filming downward looking at
you
grass. You
can't
can't
have
chroma key out green, otherwise you won't have
yeah,
grass. So
yeah.
everything had to be blue. We run into that when I try to do the Green Arrow stuff. I'm like, huh, I wear all green on a green screen, and the green screen does not like that, or the chroma key
Gotta have
does not like that.
contrast, right?
Yeah, like so that's why you
Yeah.
do a blue screen. For those of you who don't know, um, that's the way of the world there. But I'm gonna hold out hope. Having a year, I feel like gives him good time to like review the CG and the VFX and say, okay, this doesn't look good. Nope, we need to spend a little more time on it. Again, he's not putting his people under a time crunch, so that makes me feel good about it. Whereas, like we had just talked about in a previous video, Fantastic Four started principal photography like the day before Superman ended, and it's supposed to come out 2 weeks after.
2 weeks.
Right? So now they got
Yeah.
to do 3. Let's say they're only going to do 3 months principal photography, and so then they're going to have all that time less. They're going to have
There's no
they're going
way
to be
that
on a
movie.
6 month VFX time scale.
I just have a feeling that movie gets pushed back, but could be wrong. But
Well, and you
who
said the
knows?
same that possibly Superman could. I feel like having all this time, we aren't going to see a pushback. And again, James Gunn had said there's a reason he wants this movie to come out on July 11th uh, versus Fantastic Four. We don't know what's going on in the MCU right now, and I don't think they do either. So, yeah, we'll probably see that one get pushed back. Otherwise, we may see a Galactus that looks like they cut our budget.
Peter, maybe you shouldn't say anything bad about the network.
Oh, why? What are they gonna do? Cut our budget? I'm gonna go get a beer.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, as much as you talk about practical effects, and I love them. There are some things that just look better and make more sense to do in virtual effects, like Superman flying or explosions to some degree. Anything in space, obviously, unless you're doing the old Star Wars Lucasfilm tricks with models, it's not gonna look right, and you can't go into outer space and shoot shit practically. So it's gonna be virtual effects, specifically like with Fantastic Four being, if it's Galactus, there's gonna be some space shots therein, and probably some bigger ones as well. So plus
I
he's
like
not exactly
sets being
small.
practical, right? I like
Yeah.
the set being versus, like it literally being mostly CG. I like when the sets are like Terminator, he was great practical. Um,
Yeah.
Now, the transition as he was losing his skin to Robot was god
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
that was
actual
yeah.
Robot Terminator looked better practical. Just personal
Oh
opinion
yeah.
on that. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but let us know, guys. How do you feel about that? Is it a good sign for Superman that he's taken a year to get the VFX and post production done? Um, are you a practical versus CGI fan? Do you want us to release this video that I've had sitting here for now 8 months for our discussion on practical versus CGI? Because I'll release it. It's just there. We're gonna
We
be
might need to
so
do
much.
reshoots on it.
We're gonna be no new reshoots. Okay, we're already over budget. We can't afford reshoots. All right, the budget's gone, and our budget was 0 to begin with. So that tells you how bad it was.
Yeah.
So, but let us know down in the comments. Like, do you think that that's gonna make it better? Is it he just stalling, kind of just blah blah blah? Or do you think that, hey, putting all this extra time in it is going to give us a better finished product? And again, are you a practical or CGI person? Candace?
Yeah. Yeah. Let us know. Again, you guys know my stance on the practical versus CGI stance. However, it does have its place, and hopefully with the Superman film, the practical effects are good as well as the CGI that they've mixed in there. I just hope maybe they put some CGI on their suits, because from what we saw, they didn't look great.
Well, the Green Lantern suit and the Hot Girl, again, that's going to be that whole, they're a part of this group that's controlled by Maxwell Lord, supposedly, all that stuff. There's no hope that those are going to change, at least in the beginning, right? The Superman one, yes, it has its issues with fit and stuff that I feel like they will take care of in post, and maybe that's why he needs 12 fucking months, right? Because you got to
Could
go
be.
up and touch up every damn shot with Superman, and it's gonna send the effects
Yep.
budget. But hey, you didn't have to pay a whole lot because most of the cast, or the main cast, is not super like huge,
They're not
crazy
stars.
Tom Cruise style. So
Hmm.
maybe you're going to have more money to spend on the effects budget, and we can tidy up that suit a little bit, get it fitting a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, if you have made it with us this far, we definitely appreciate it. Consider giving this video a like. He is going to show you where. Over me. That's cool. All right. Subscribing to the channel so you don't mention, or so you don't mention, so you don't miss any of the videos that we have coming out. Because, guys,
No, we want you to mention it. Mention us all you want.
I get it, I messed up. Moving on. So you don't miss any of the videos that we have coming out, because we are starting to release more, because we're getting flooded with information, and if we don't put out multiple videos a week, we'll never get it out to you guys. So subscribing, clicking the stupid little bell, and all that other stuff that you got to know, so you can
Please.
get like all of the notifications like I've gotten here while I'm editing this video or recording this
We
video, and
appreciate
it's
it too.
distracting me. We definitely do appreciate you guys. We appreciate all the comments, all of our subscribers, both who've been here since the beginning and all of our newest. We try to always do this at the end just because we don't like to bombard you guys with it and clog up the beginning of the video, because we already take care of that ourselves through our normal talking. But you guys are the reason we do this. We appreciate every one of you. We love seeing all the comments. We try to respond to as many as we can, but just know that even if we don't respond to it, we definitely do appreciate it being there. So, with that being said, Mantis, unless you have anything else,
No.
that's going to end it for this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, we will see you then, guys.
Later.
Very Captain America-esque.